Hello and welcome to the A&P. I am Alex Johansson and my co-host Patrick McCallum. Patrick,
Hello, everyone. How are you getting on?
we're having logical discussions about the state of the world. Let's get into it, brother. Heyo, Patrick.
How are you getting on, bud? So what's this new video you're going to show me today?
Well, this is Tim
You were
Poole.
right-
This is
Tim
your
Poole, all
your
right.
friend Tim Poole, your favorite fella, your
Yeah.
favorite reporter. So he is showing us the District of New Hampshire has had a filing in that district court from the ACLU in relation to unborn children and birthright citizenship. So there's no more universal injunctions. The judge can't just bang their gavel and say, "Suspente, out of nothing, I'm creating a class," right? So the class has to be filed, and you have to represent that there is some kind of harm that requires injunctive relief, right?
Yes, I understand. Yeah. Okay, that's Barney's side of it. So
Big time.
let's see what Tim Poole has to say about this wonderful thing.
Well, it's a filing. We'll see what the filing is.
Let's see what it's filing. There we go. I have to have a bit of coffee first for the brain chicken.
T's not going to do it, huh? All right, here we go.
No.
Let's let Tim cook.
Thank you to the ACLU for opening Pandora's box on litigation. Now, okay, I'm going to make the argument that the ruling on birthright citizenship, and I missed this yesterday, may very well end abortion or at least create some kind of legal paradox, which must be reversed and shut down permanently. Meaning, look, I know that judges are human and we do not live in a rigid world. Humans will decide when and how law is applied, even if it seems to be contradictory. But if we were to apply the law as now ruled upon, either birthright citizenship is over or abortion is over. That is, the ACLU yesterday got an injunction against Donald Trump from enforcing his ban on birthright citizenship for non-citizens. But in doing so, created a legal class to be represented as, quote, future persons. We had talked about this a couple.
Okay. I see where he's coming with that. All right.
So future persons is unborn persons, right?
Yes, well, we understand. Yeah.
Right. So, but that means that if that's a class and that class is represented, right, the most egregious violation you can do is to terminate someone's life, right? So if they're a class, that means that either everybody gets born and everybody gets to be a citizen and there's no abortion, or there's abortion. You can't have it both ways if this ruling stands.
Yeah. So, but Tim Poole is pro-life, isn't he?
I believe that he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this at the moment, Tim Poole is pro-life. Okay.
I think so. Well, but if he wasn't, I don't know that this would be as much of a conundrum, right? I
was just thinking that if he's so much pro-life, and this ruling is going to stop all abortions, why is he hopping mad? Just out of curiosity.
No, I don't think he's mad.
Just break it down easily for people, Barney style, as they say.
Okay, so it's the paradox he doesn't like. You can't have mutually exclusive laws, right?
Okay.
So a class is either represented and protected from harm, or the class doesn't exist because it doesn't need to be protected from harm. So the harm that's identified is a lack of birthright citizenship, which isn't what the 14th Amendment says. That was specifically discussed by the senators on the floor at the time to ensure that the children of slaves would be granted citizenship, because as a slave, you weren't a citizen of a space, you were owned property, right? So that the 14th Amendment had nothing to do with anchor babies, like somebody coming into the country illegally and having a child and having that child be a citizen. That's not how it was supposed to work, right?
Okay.
So what this judge has done is said that anybody who's born as of January 20th, 2025, and any future persons born on American soil will be citizens. And since you cannot stop their ability to become citizens, it means you also cannot terminate them, because then they would lose that right that they have as unborn to become a citizen.
Okay. So that would so it's banning abortions in America. Is that what is he bringing it down to?
Yeah. Because that is the most egregious violation. That is the most egregious harm.
So is he angry over? He's just worried that this would lead on to a different set of rules. Is that what he's worried about?
He's worried about the paradoxical value of the ruling.
Okay.
right? It's a paradox. It creates an either-or situation with mutual exclusivity, right?
Right. Is that what he? Okay. So he's worried that there'll be a special class that will be protected under law. Okay.
I'm exactly a minute into this, just like you are. So this is what I'm thinking. We'll see if he clarifies it for us down the line.
Okay. Okay. Let's see what he says.
2 weeks ago, last month, when the Supreme Court issued this ruling saying universal injunctions are out, the ACLU then needed to form a class of people to get a nationwide ruling. That is, it used to be that a single plaintiff would go to the court and say, I'm a guy who's impacted by this, and the judge would bang the gavel. All people now everywhere must be held to this standard. Supreme.
Right. So that was a universal injunction problem. There's 733 district court judges who are wielding power as if they were the Article 3
I understand they're all getting upset because the district courts are going against Trump at every opportunity. I understand that.
The problem is they don't wield that power, right? They
cannot. I understand.
Right. So,
I understand what they're doing. I know they're trying to slow him down for the next couple of years until a new president comes in.
Yeah, there's a circumvention issue, right? But even Supreme Court justices, when Biden was in office, were saying, we can't do nationwide injunctions. And then those same Supreme Court justices now rule against Trump in that 6-3, where they're like, oh, it's fine for these nationwide injunctions. Like, you literally said in 2022 that that's not acceptable. But now that it's Trump, it's acceptable. And in his first 100 days, more injunctions were filed against him than were filed in all of the 20th century. Right, since 1963 to 2000, like insane amounts, insane. Everything he does, they attempt to block, and it's them wielding power against the Article 2 executive branch in a way they're not supposed to, which is why they were ruled against by the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Court said that makes no sense. Okay, district courts can only grant relief to the plaintiff, not change the meaning of law nationwide. The only real dissenter was Ketanji Brown Jackson. She got made fun of. Immediately following this, the ACLU sought to create a class of people. If a class of people files a lawsuit, the judge can grant relief to the entirety of that class. The ACLU requested that all persons born or future persons born after be certified as a class.
That's after January 2025.
Okay. So it's
Trump's inauguration day.
Be represented and be granted injunctive relief. Hold on there a minute. These people are not born yet, and they have not been injured yet. So what does that mean? I mean, injured in the legal sense. How do you grant an injunction on a ruling where an injury has not yet occurred? The way it's supposed to work is, after you're born, you file. If you don't get granted your citizenship, someone files a suit on your behalf, and then the court will grant you relief and say, you're a citizen. Not, you haven't been injured at all, we're going to grant you relief. That is, this judge granted an injunction blocking Trump from enforcing his action against people he had not yet done anything to. Now, and here's what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
This is going to get reversed in 2 seconds, but Pandora's box has been cracked open just a little bit.
Go ahead.
Right. I see his point now. Okay. Right. Yeah, so you see what he means by Pandora's box. It's open a tiny bit. Not much. This will be, as he said there, this will all be slapped down.
But let's assume that this ruling stands. Let's assume that it won't stand, but let's assume that it does stand. Then every pro-life organization in the United States can say, I'm filing for injunctive relief against the termination of unborn children as a class, right?
Yeah.
They're future persons, right? And we've had this discussion before. When do you get rights as a citizen of the United States, right? When does that happen? And those who are pro-life say, at conception, you as a future person have the right to continue to exist, right?
But are the pro-life, I thought the pro-life people would be celebrating a ruling like this.
It's less than 24 hours since it's been.
I know, but I'm just saying a pro-life person like Tim Poole would be celebrating a ruling like this, not getting all upset because, I can kind of guess why he's upset.
The upset is the paradoxical nature of the ruling. He didn't
upset. Let's face it, I think he's just upset because we all know why he's upset. Because what he's worried about is if people come into America pregnant, their child is automatically an American citizen. That's what he's worried about, pretty much.
It's possible. I think it's more the paradoxical nature, though, honestly.
I think so, but we can all kind of guess, really.
Well, right, but there's a lot of facets to this. If you show up, then I can't deport you if you are with child, because that child in your belly is an American citizen, a future person who has rights as granted by this ruling, right? It means that we can force immigration out, or we can force immigrants out who are male, but we would have to do a pregnancy test on every female to determine if they had American citizens inside of them.
I think that's why he could be upset as well, because it's going to cause more strain on the system as well in the long term.
Well, it could. It's possible.
Yeah. Oh, it will if you have to kind of screen every single person coming in on top of all the thousand other steps you have to do as well.
Right.
Yeah, it can really put a strain on your system.
Well, you know about that with your NHS and the strain on the system you have there in Ireland, so I get that too. So.
Yeah, we have the HSE over here, but we have the same strain in our systems as well at the moment. And I can only imagine if there's apparently millions of people coming over the border, what extra strain that would
not apparently, actually millions. It wasn't apparently. It was a wide open border, and from all over the world they came in.
Like, I understand, but I've seen
somebody rang the dinner bell and nobody decided to stop on the way through the Darien Gap.
We just got another channel there where he's trying to say 100 million people, but I'm just saying that
I don't think it's 100 million.
I don't think so. I think it's more close to between 15 and 20 overall.
It's hyperbole, but understand that 15 million is still 3 times the amount of Irish citizens in the Republic.
Yes, right? I understand. In a country of 350 odd million, we'll say, as I always said, let's give it 5 to 8% roughly.
Which is still a massive amount, right?
It is a massive number, but sometimes other commentators on the side would say, kind of like hyping up the numbers, as they say.
Hyperbole. All right, let's let Tim cook some more, bud.
If anyone, the ACLU can get a class certification for the unborn, why could not a pro-life group make the same argument? And if the ACLU has been granted class certification on the unborn, seeking to prevent future injury, one would argue, quite literally, termination of life is the greatest of injuries. In which case, every single pro-life group right now needs to be filing a lawsuit in New Hampshire in the same court and make them answer for this, because either birthright citizenship is cooked or abortion is cooked. Let me show you where we're at. Here's the letter. First,
So it seems like the paradoxical value of it.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. Well, along with the possibility that he is more than likely pro-life. I'm not going to, I don't know enough about his position on that to say he's this or that, but it looks like the paradoxical nature of it. And then we're going to be forced as a society to come to grips with this. And in a Western culture where women have the lion's share of reproductive rights and the majority of control in those situations, this could strip power from those who have power, and nobody, I don't care who you are, wants to lose their power in general.
Yeah, I think it's very unfair for the law to step in and tell women what to do, rightly or wrongly. I think it should be down to them, if you know what I mean. At the end of the day,
right? I understand what you're saying. I don't know that I agree, but let's let Tim cook.
Okay. I missed this yesterday because the New York Times reported this, and they did not list the actual class certification. So I incorrectly assumed, after reading this as well as some other articles, that the judge narrowed. In one article, it said it narrowed it down to a single group, infants. And then the New York Times says it will. The court, the District for New Hampshire judge said the decision applied nationwide to babies who have been subject to the executive order, which included the children of undocumented parents and those born to academics. Full stop. No, it didn't. It wasn't until I actually pulled up the ruling. My bad, guys. My bad. I made a mistake, okay? But I did catch it within the same day. I made the mistake of not actually reading the ruling, because when it was first reported, they said he ruled from the bench and would issue the ruling later in the day. So from ruling from the bench, there was no order other than his words. When the order actually drops, and I look it up, it says this, quote, "In light of the above, the court grants the petitioner's motion and provisionally certifies the following class for the purpose of preliminary injunctive relief. All current and future persons who are born on or after February 20th, 2025.
February 20th, not January 20th. That was my bad.
Where one, that person's mother was unlawfully present in the U.S., and that person's father was not a U.S. citizen, or the mother was temporarily here and the father wasn't a citizen.
And the lawful permanent resident is from a Supreme Court ruling in 1898 for Chinese immigrants' children, because they were permanent residents. So the Supreme Court, rather rightly or wrongly, in 1898 decided that the child of the Chinese permanent residents was in fact a citizen. Right.
Okay, that's okay. That was building of your massive railway from east. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I actually have been to the train museum in Old Town Sacramento. It's pretty amazing.
Okay.
It's got a really good story. It tells the story, who the governor was at the time and all the things that were going on. It's pretty comprehensive. And the trains
it was a massive engineering project at the time.
Yeah, and the trains are really damn cool as well. I suggest anybody go check that out. If you ever manage to get to Sacramento, California, go to Old Town Sac, check out the train museum. Totally worth your time. And they got this 2-hour train ride that takes you down south into the San Joaquin Valley. That's super pretty. It's just a really good time.
That sounds nice. That does sound nice. Actually.
Yeah. Well, when you come out, we'll take you down there, check it out. Yeah. You know, we'll get you a lot of sunscreen, white boy, because you will die in Sacramento.
Hey, we have sun over here. Yeah. Well, okay, not as you, but we do
once a month. We got 100 days at 100 degrees plus, like it's 40 degrees centigrade, bud. It is not good. It's America hot. Yeah, our air conditioning.
I just have to go from restaurant to pubs all the way down. So.
Oh, and I did send you pictures from that really cool pub down there. It's pretty nice. But
it is.
So when we put our air conditioning on, it is generally at a higher temperature than what Ireland and the UK considers a heat wave. Like we have it like 73 or 74 degrees Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, at the moment it's. I'm just looking at it right now. It's 28 over here at the moment where I am.
That's not bad, which is pretty much where we set our air conditioning to, because it's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's going to high 30s tomorrow. But
yeah, that's freedom units right there. The Fahrenheit's
freedom units.
Freedom units.
What we call it is just being awkward. Okay, you're just being awkward over there.
Hey, there's landed on the moon measurement and there's not landed on the moon measurement. How about that?
Well, India landed on the moon too, you know, but they have
not with people, or not with people that mattered.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You may be saying, but that class is specifically undocumented kids. Hey, I'll take it. You want to make the argument that no one can get an abortion for undocumented parents? It's not going to fly. It would have to apply to everybody. The point ultimately is a judge agreed. Those who do not yet exist can be granted injunctive relief from future harm. This is the most psychotic ruling I've ever seen. Future persons, in the literal sense, applies to people not even conceived yet. Someone who might be conceived in 20 years and born in 20 years and 9 months. That's the game they're playing because they want birthright citizenship. This must be reversed. I see no reality where this is not reversed. But in the meantime, holy crap. Here's the ACLU's website. Order granting class certification. Hey, got it, baby. Okay. I want the ACLU to argue why future persons can have legal standing to be represented as a class to prevent future injury. Injury that has not yet happened. I'm going to say it again.
So one of the big things with this is that if you can't represent the harm that has been committed to you or committed against you, you don't have a suit. You don't have suit.
Yeah.
Right. You can't say, I'm going to be hurt in the future. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I see Tim Poole's point now. And I didn't agree with him. It's going to be slapped down. It is going to be slapped down.
How are you going to bring a future person in habeas to the court? You can't do that. Right? So habeas corpus, the production of the body doesn't exist.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is we all know this is going to be slapped down. Everyone knows it's going to happen.
They're fighting really hard.
Yeah. I think all they're doing is just burning time. There's burning time for the next president. That's all they're doing. And everyone can see it.
Well, that's pretty damn obvious, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, that's all they're doing. It's just if they run the clock long enough.
I mean, Tim Poole's right? You can either kill the babies or they have the right not to die. You can either kill the babies or they're going to become citizens, so you can't kill them. Right? It means that at conception, everyone has the right to continue to exist.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that means. Because you cannot deny the right to become a citizen, it means you can't kill them because that then denies their right to become a citizen.
Yeah,
right?
but a lot of states over there already have removed, already have abortion bans in place, don't they?
Correct. They do. They do.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Injury in court would be like, so let's say somebody made a video about me where they edited it. They took the video, they edited out it was a debate. They edited out my arguments, and then they made me look really dumb, intentionally trying to lie to defame me and discredit me. Maybe that really happened. What's my injury? Well, you can argue reputation's damaged, but in the court of law, you need literal, tangible injury. So you can't sue for somebody. That's fair use. They're allowed to do it, scummy as it may be. Injury would be, upon doing this, a contract was canceled, the negotiations dropped out, and if
right, they'd have to show fiscal harm to his reputation that would cause him to
lose money in case,
So unrealized income based on defamation of character kind of stuff, right? Or some kind of libel that also performs the same task, at which point he can represent the harm, and in habeas he can say, hey judge, not as a class but as an individual, they're going to pay for my attorney's fees, and they're going to pay for the contract that I didn't get realized based on their libel or their defamation of my character, right? That just makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I was negotiating with a company to do like $1 million ad campaign, and they said, look, I got to be honest, we saw this video. We think it has damaged your reputation, and we don't think we can actually utilize your services at this point. Now I have real injury, and I can say they specifically cited this defamation, which we can prove, and that's the injury. Then you can sue. This is why typically defamation you can't sue for. Now, in all seriousness, I am somewhat being a dick. I'm being facetious. You're allowed to lie, cheat, steal, smear people, okay? In online in the debate space. I think it's smarmy and scumbaggery, but as long as if there's no real injuries, it is legal and it's allowed. Not that I think it's good or moral or just, but.
Functionally, with First Amendment rights in the United States, you can talk a bunch of shit. I don't know if you've met Americans, but sometimes we talk some shit. It's kind of our thing. We like revolvers, revolvers, Jesus, and talking shit. Those are like our things, apparently, right? The trifecta.
Plus, you have to remember there's fair use as well. You know what I mean?
We also like hamburgers. Hamburgers are really good.
Yeah, they're nice. I like hamburgers.
And there's a certain portion of our population that also likes potato salad, either with or without paprika. So. Just depends on if you're a paprika fella.
It's actually nice in potato salad. I've made it myself a few times.
Well, you're a bit Irish. I'm guessing, the origin of American potato love might have come from Ireland. It's possible.
Well, there's 40-odd million of us over there.
8 times the population of Irish who are in Ireland? Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So, do me a favor. Send us more redheads. Oh, you guys are actually losing like 70 to 80,000 people a year, by the way. Out emigrating Irish citizens.
Our immigration rate is up again. People leaving Ireland.
Yeah,
it's just cost of living. It happens every 10 years roughly.
You think there's an anticipation of another potato famine, like a recreation of 1840?
No, it's actually down to cost of living. A lot of people were surveyed in the last 12 months. It was actually on a local radio station. And they interviewed people leaving Cork and Dublin Airport, going abroad for six months or more.
Right.
And a lot of them are young people under 35. And it's down to cost of living.
Right.
It's a big one.
Well, the same thing in America, but we can't go anywhere. Yep. So what's happening is young Americans cannot get into the housing market. Right. Yeah. So BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, they're buying up a ton of housing when people are defaulting. And they're literally, like, there's some neighborhoods around locally to me where they are just building homes to rent them out. Right.
That's one thing I'm always curious about young Americans. How come they don't just hop on a plane and leave America and go and spread their wings to other countries?
Because America is so big, there isn't really a reason to do it. There is a place you can go in America that's going to be better than where you are. When you're in a small country like Ireland, you can go to Mayo, or you can go to Cork, you can go to Limerick, you can go to these places, but it's functionally the same thing. Right.
Same thing.
So Virginia, Montana, Alaska, Hawaii, Texas, Michigan, they're all wildly different, right? We have cultural pockets all over the country. You got the Midwest, the left coast, you got the East Coast, you got all these different biomes, functionally, American biomes, right? So,
but if the cost of living is slowly but surely creeping up all across the United States,
so
do you think that would push young people to broaden their horizons? Do you think eventually?
New York, Massachusetts, a lot of the East Coast, New Jersey, California, Washington, Oregon, it is very expensive to live there in most of those places. And if you're on the East Coast, you just move west. If you're on the West Coast, you just move east. If it's too expensive in California, you move to Nevada or Idaho. And there's going to be a place where you can get a job and you can make a decent amount of money and you can get a functional place, right? It's like, so here's an example. So in northern Montana, I would say about a decade, 12, 15 years ago, they discovered massive oil fields on the Canadian border, right?
Yeah.
And living there before then, you could rent a trailer for $300. Just make sure you got a snow ski and a truck, and you could live alone in the woods and nobody would bother you.
Now it's changed a bit.
Right, and now with the discovery of massive resources and investment in the area, it is almost impossible to get within 50 to 60 miles of that place and find a reasonable accommodation for residential living, right? Wow. Same thing. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, we've gotten far afield. Let us get back from the potato famine.
Let's get back to
back to the unborn and the baby killing versus citizenship thing.
I'm just kind of being a dick. The point still stands. You need an actual tangible injury. If I went to the court and said, I will suffer monetary losses in the future, they'd say, get out of my courtroom. So how did this judge do this? It's because there is a resistance in the courts against Donald Trump. That's it. But hey, open Pandora's box. Let's go. So I asked my good friend ChatGPT to break this down for me and give us an assessment of how this works. The first thing I want to say is a lot of people are immediately commenting on my post saying, oh, so you're pro-life now? Well, I'll put it this way. Pro-choice today means everybody gets an abortion whenever they want. There's one woman who posted she wants to get impregnated by Trump so she can abort the baby at 9 months. And it's just like, this is psychotic. Abortion is wrong. The termination of life of the baby is completely wrong. However, my position is
that is a moral position, right?
Okay.
And I can understand where he's coming from.
It's more of the classical Democrat safe, legal, and rare. We don't want it to.
Safe, legal, and rare was actually something that Senator Joseph Biden said on the floor of the Senate many years ago. That's where that comes from. It was a pretty damn good speech too. It was when old Frank Joseph Biden was of sound mind.
He was a great lawmaker. People forget that he was actually a great.
Yeah, the senator from the great state of Delaware, which is propped up by so much corporate influence, you can't believe it. So the two states in the United States that you want to set up a corporation are Nevada and Delaware. In Delaware, if you have 5 people in your corporation that are housed and work in the state of Delaware, you can make your corporate headquarters there. Nevada's got some of the same kind of laws. Yeah. So
what's the tax right there like?
It's amazing. It's amazing for corporations. Yeah. It's a huge draw. Right? That area is actually called Delmarva, right? So Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. So Delaware doesn't really have its own identity because everything in the area, all the signs say Delmarva, right? It's not just Wilmington, Delaware, because pretty much Delaware is Wilmington, Delaware, and the surrounding environs, right? Like if you were to plot down Delaware, it wouldn't fit but a very, very small portion of, say, California's Central Valley, right? And then Rhode Island is literally Providence and its suburbs, like the 2 smallest states in the union. It's pretty insane, right? Like County Cork is bigger than Rhode Island, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Rhode Island is super, super small. It's literally Providence, Rhode Island, the capital, and like the suburbs, like 7. What is it? I think it took me less than 45 minutes to get across it through traffic the last time I drove through friggin' Rhode Island. Yeah. And Delaware wasn't.
It would take me about double that to go from one end to Cork.
Right. So, but I've also gone through Virginia and up through Delaware, and the only traffic I hit was in Wilmington. Right there, and it was like insane, like super, super small states. When you're from the west side of the United States, like you just don't understand small states. It's like Americans don't understand when you're in Europe, you go through 6 countries in 6 hours, right? They just don't get it. So
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
here we go.
It shouldn't happen, but there are medical circumstances where you enter into a very strange position where a woman has a literal need for a medical intervention that would terminate the life of a baby for some reason. And I know a lot of people argue that's never happens, it's never possible. It's not okay. Listen, they could come out and they could say there is potential for a really high potential for aneurysm, and you're both going to die. I'm sorry, but you can't carry this pregnancy to term. The argument I've gotten from Christians is any action to try and mitigate this is not an abortion.
So here's another strange one. So
Yeah.
I've known people who become incarcerated, right? And
All right.
there was a gentleman who became incarcerated who got a double murder for killing the mother of his child and the fetus, right? So it's a strange dichotomy. So because she did not choose to get an abortion, the child was viable to stack a murder charge upon the same charge of, at the same time as the charge of killing the mother of the child, right?
Okay.
So there are instances where a fetus does have representation, and it seems to be in the instance or the case where the mother of the child has decided not to abort the fetus, right? So there's already some paradoxical stuff in the law, especially with PC or with criminal code, right?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there, and I can see Tim's point of view as well. But at the end of the day, me personally, my own personal opinion is it should still be down to the lady to make the choice.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
But when does the unborn child have rights?
I understand the dancing on the head of a needle. I understand all this.
Well, and I understand that. But the thing is both positions are viable, right?
They are.
Right.
And I say,
So
as I say,
either
pro-life or if you're pro-life or pro-choice.
Right.
That's your own personal belief.
So either abortion is legal or it's okay to kill the babies.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's the same thing. So either killing the babies is cool or abortion is not cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? And the safe, legal, and rare thing, I think, is the best argument that I've heard for it, right? Safe, legal, and rare. Adult people should be responsible for their actions, right? And that means that if you have cause for the safe, legal, and rare termination of the fetus, then there should be a pretty good reason for it. Not just, I don't wanna. I don't wanna doesn't seem to have any kind of merit, right? It doesn't seem like an adult decision. It looks like I can do whatever I want, and then whatever the consequences are, they don't bear on me, right?
Yeah. Especially with the fact that there's so much contraception out there as well for people to take, if you know what I mean. So there shouldn't be.
For sure.
But I understand it can fail. I understand there's other instances where if a person was raped or incest, they should be allowed. There is plenty of. There should be always a choice. Me personally, that's my own personal belief. There should always.
And a discussion can be had for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Argument. My point is, there may be a medical reason at some point a woman has to terminate and she doesn't want to. This is the argument often made by the left, but they're lying, as exemplified by their litigation. I don't see a reality where it makes sense a woman has to go to court and get legal status or standing to get a medical issue performed. Sometimes it could be life-saving and immediate. The argument made by the left, however, is to exploit people like me who don't like abortion at all and don't want it, but want to make sure we find some kind of common ground on emergency medical practices. They use that argument, but then
you're right. Pro-life. Good call.
Pass laws like in Colorado where they say you can get an abortion for any reason at any time. And that, I think, should not be allowed, ever. I think it should be heavily regulated, heavily restricted, and there should. I do not believe in abortion for no reason. There's got to be a reason.
Right. So accountability for your actions. There has to be a legitimate reason. It can't be I got on my back and made a baby, and then now we're just going to not reap the reward of our action. The consequences should be real, right?
So, right.
And a medical reason, in my opinion.
Go ahead.
But at the end of the day, I have always come to the decision that any of these laws that affect women directly should be voted on by women. If it's going to affect a woman.
Got it. Okay. So let's say that me and my girlfriend or some other random fella and his girlfriend, she says, hey, I'm pregnant, right? And he's like, I would like to keep the baby. And she says, no, I'm going to get an abortion. He's the father of the child. Why doesn't he get a say? Right? Why does she get the say?
Because she's probably at higher risk during the pregnancy than a guy sitting down.
Well, I understand that.
I mean, yeah, health
Is
rise
he
and everything else, but it'll affect the
is he
woman
the
more
father of the
than the
child?
man.
Right. Okay. So then at that point, should the father of the child say, I want to keep the baby. I will handle raising the baby. You can give me the baby after you've had it. Done. Right. And then if she says no, what happens in the United States and most G7 countries is that the father of the child is on the hook for it. If he's like, I can't afford it, I don't want it, she can make the decision to have the child, and he is on the hook. Even if he gives up his parental rights, he still has to pay. So if she can terminate the pregnancy, shouldn't he be able to terminate all interaction and reaction with it?
A lot of Eastern European countries, and a lot of other countries like Greece. I'm thinking of Greece now, a particular example. Is if a woman chooses to have a child, it's her responsibility in the story.
Because she's an adult person.
Unless there's a divorce and marriage, but you have to remember they're a very orthodox country as well.
Right.
I'm just saying that
in a marriage, you're considered a legal entity under the law, like a single legal entity. At that point, if there's a breakup, then yes, right? But if it's random adult people deciding they're going to make babies on purpose or accidentally, right? If she can terminate the pregnancy, then he should be able to terminate his financial responsibility. That just is what would be fair, right?
It would be fair, but the law is not always fair.
Right, but it's not even so much the law. Well, family law courts, family law judges in the United States have very little oversight. There's no one that says you can't make that decision. It doesn't happen.
Right? Yeah, same in most countries that the judges are, nearly all the judges have very, very poor oversight in a lot of cases.
And they can make absolutely irresponsible decisions that destroy families.
Yeah.
But there's a debate over the leeway. And so I'm gonna admit right away, I don't have all the answers. Now, some people have told me I'm pro-life for believing that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'm certainly not the staunch pro-life where I would say outright, no abortion for any reason ever. Let's clear things up. If you're arguing that women should not get abortions for no reason, simply because it's contraception, agreed. If you're arguing that women should have to go and get a legal writ or something from a judge in order to get a medical treatment, disagreed. Call that whatever you want. I think abortion is wrong.
Right. If there's a medical issue, especially if the mother of the unborn child is at risk, then you do the D&C or you do whatever the procedure is to ensure the life.
We had fuzzy laws like that in Ireland for a long, long time. And unfortunately, it ended with a lot of women dying on the table by the time it got argued in court.
Right. They had some issues like that in Texas where
And at the end of the day, we voted as a country to allow abortion in our country.
Right.
To stop all these fuzzy laws and if, buts, and maybe laws, as I call them.
Right. So in Texas, they were having...
And it's up to the lady then to, if she wants to have an abortion, she can have one for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Just to make it crystal clear, because what Tim is arguing there, we have already tried in Ireland, and it did not work. These fuzzy laws don't work.
Right. Well, that's why he said it needs to be clear cut. In Texas, they were having issues with this where even when the mother of the child was on the table and required an emergency D&C, like they weren't doing them because the legal system. So they had written some laws where anybody can take suit with someone who performs an abortion and anybody in the clinic that helped with it. And since it wasn't a government agency that was doing it, it was private parties suing other people for performing abortions. There was no recourse from those who wanted to have an abortion, right? Yeah. Because they had no one to sue because it was all private parties. However, there was like a bounty in place for getting it done, which was not appropriate. And that's a very weird law.
What I'm saying, I've heard all these before, but the sad part is most states, and rightly or wrongly, they are pro-life or pro-choice. They have to be one or the other. Because if you have fuzzy laws, you end up with very, very legal gray areas.
Right. And you have
people can die because of these gray areas.
You have unoptimized solutions. Not optimized at all. So, all right, here we go.
No.
That being said, my point here is birthright citizenship is wrong. They've entered this challenge where they are willing to sacrifice their queen in order to take the right's queen. They are offering up a major piece which the right may want to take and do this trade. Birthright citizenship is allowed to stand, but no more abortions. Or you can't grant injunctive relief to the unborn, and therefore you can only sue after they've been injured. Here's what ChatGPT says. I asked it, can unborn persons have legal standing in court? And it says yes, in certain cases. Unborn persons can have legal standing in court through a representative.
Wrongful death is one I had talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And prenatal injury is the same thing. So
typically a parent or guardian acting on their behalf. Typically in wrongful death and prenatal injury, trusts or inheritance matters, constitutional or civil rights litigation, sometimes involving future impacts on a child who will be born. Interesting. However, legal recognition of an unborn child's standing varies by jurisdiction and context, especially regarding how the law defines personhood. I said, what if we say they are, quote, future persons? And it said labeling unborn individuals as future persons can influence how courts view the legal standing, but it does not automatically grant them rights or standing. Here's how the concept plays out legally. Injury to future persons, toxic exposure cases. Courts sometimes allow lawsuits for harms caused before birth if those harms manifest after birth. The child must be born alive for the claim to proceed. They're treated as future persons at the time of harm, but gain standing retroactively once born. Trust in estates.
So chemical or nuclear or anything that can have an effect initially on the mother who might have the stamina and the fortitude to withstand it, but the unborn child can't.
Future persons like unborn heirs can be represented by a guardian or ad litem. In probate or trust matters, laws often provide for such representation to protect interests even before birth.
Right. So that's pretty interesting. So if you have the possibility of receiving an estate in the instance where you are an unborn child, that child can be represented in court. But understand there are states in which they have abortion, so those things would just go out the window. If you can establish Ms. So-and-so is pregnant and this child is going to be the recipient, at that point the mother can say, in the state I live in, I can just abort the child. And then it literally wouldn't matter about that representation. It would literally just go away.
Yeah, but I think ChatGPT said that at the start. Yeah, I know he kind of brushed over it. Laws are different in every
jurisdictionally. Yeah, it's
he skipped over that I think he skipped over that very quickly.
Right, it is.
That's where
it is contextually jurisdictional for sure.
Constitutional and ethical debates. Using future persons in legal arguments is more philosophical or policy based. Courts may consider their interests, but they typically don't have standing unless a statute explicitly grants it. Future persons may have their interests protected by others, but they do not have independent legal standing unless they are born or unless specific legal provisions grant them standing in advance.
So this is looking to grant them that standing in advance. That's why there's an issue with this.
Well, it's interesting that he's using ChatGPT for this. or Grok or an AI in general.
It's ChatGPT. I think I'd prefer Grok. I just like Grok a little bit better.
Look, everyone has their own favorite AI, but I'm just surprised he's using AI.
Right. Well, the thing is, it's very, very difficult, generally speaking, to get a cogent argument out of some people who believe some of the things that he is in opposition to. Very difficult. So you sometimes have to pit yourself against AI because the people who believe a thing will not treat with you. They just won't, because they believe that you are so fundamentally wrong that your position possesses no merit based on a thing you believe to be true, because you're saying, hey, look at all this evidentiary value. And the other side's like, I don't care about your evidentiary value because I have 100% belief without proof, and I am righteous and right because I believe so, not because I am or there's a reason for it. But literally, it is almost impossible to get the people who are representing the other side of the argument from Tim's side to even show up and have the debate. They just don't do it. Right.
Which is an awful shame, really, if you know what I mean. I think no matter what your beliefs in, you should always have a proper,
Tim Poole,
in a proper world, you should have it.
Tim Poole was on Trigonometry with Francis and Constantine Kissen, and he's like, I can't get people who are left-leaning, for the most part, to come on my show. They just won't. And the trigonometry guys are like, yeah, that's just the way it is. We can't get them either. But it seems like there's a whole lot of people that believe a way that don't want to back it up, and I don't know why that is. It's very strange. You and I have a disagreement about something, we talk about it. We don't agree on everything. And it's kind of a good thing. It gives us a varied perspective. I'm just not saying a thing and you're like, hey, I'm Patrick and Alex is right. And I'm just not like, hey, Patrick said a thing and I believe it too. No, I'm not that guy. I'm an independent critical thinker, just like you. And we're not always going to come up to the same conclusion. Go ahead.
I think the reason is you're American, I'm more European. I think we look at things slightly differently, which is a good thing. You know, we have different views on things, but we can still sit down and, as they say, have a chat about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'd love to sit down and have a pint and just shoot it with you, just see what's going on. You know, let's do this. Let's put a Guinness in.
I have a feeling I think I'll drink you under the table, though.
Oh, it's a fact. I stopped doing that a long time ago. I got real aggressive when I had the devil's juice in my system. When I was drinking that devil water, it got me every time. I was either fighting or chasing skirts, and I really don't need to be doing either one of those things. All right, here we go.
What would happen if a federal judge decided to grant future persons legal class recognition? And it says, if a federal judge granted future persons legal class recognition, several unprecedented and controversial outcomes would follow. Immediate consequences. Courts would be recognizing plaintiffs who do not yet exist, creating a seismic shift in Article 3 standing doctrine, which requires a concrete injury. Guardian ad litem appointments. Someone would need to be appointed.
Guardian ad litem.
To represent these hypothetical individuals in court, raising logistical and ethical concerns. We're not even talking about the unborn at this point. We're talking about people not even conceived, someone who might be conceived. Appeal and likely reversal, says higher courts would likely overturn the decision, arguing it violates the case or controversy requirement of the Constitution. Establishment precedent that standing requires current or imminent injury to a real person. The ripple effects.
So here we're going to run into another issue. Real persons, right? An unborn child is not considered a real person, which is why you can kill the babies, right? That's why.
Okay.
Environmental law. Lawsuits could be filed on behalf of future generations harmed by pollution or climate change. It would reopen debates on abortion, IVF, and contraception by giving legal weight to the unborn or even unconceived. It could open the doors to representing theoretical beings like embryos, clones, or enhanced future humans. Congress might pass legislation restricting or defining personhood or standing more narrowly, and it will face constitutional amendments or judicial reforms. The bottom line, it would spark a major constitutional crisis, be swiftly challenged, and almost certainly be reversed unless a broader legal revolution occurred. It touches the foundation of legal identity, rights, and limits the limits of judicial power.
So this is functionally saying that the Article 3 branches, the ones that are underneath the Supreme Court, are all creations of the legislative branch. And we've been over this before. So creations of the Article 1 legislative branch as the lesser or inferior courts to the Supreme Court do not bat in the same league as the executive branch, right? So what's happening now is the inferior court judges are attempting to bat at that level as if they were Article 1 or Article 2, right? So they're combating the executive branch and combating the legislative branch with that bottom line, right? So it touches on the foundations of legal identity, rights, and the limits of judicial power. And in creating a judicial crisis like this, the legislative branch would have to come up with something very, very quick to define real persons, what it means to be an unborn person, and all that. So this thing is really just a kettle of disgustingly stinky fish.
To be honest with you, I agree with Poole. Funny enough, I actually do agree with him. It has opened Pandora's box. And what's going to happen is going to be a raft of cases after this ruling.
Yeah.
Non-stop from both sides of the fence, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
From both sides of the fence. This is going to drag through courts for the next couple of years in at least, from both sides.
Right. Well, because there's injunctive relief has been granted. He granted it.
This is
he should have told the ACLU to go pound sand. Like, no, you can't do that. Future persons have not, there's no recognized injury.
I don't know the judge involved in this, but the funny thing is, I think for once I'm actually agreeing with Tim Poole. I thought I would never be saying. Actually agree with Tim Poole. But
make you wear a funny hat.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think he is right. He is right, because this has opened Pandora's box in some ways, and I can see it from both sides of the argument. Both sides are going to be fighting this out in court the next couple of years onwards.
Oh, for sure.
Because of this one ruling.
Well, because it's sua sponte. This is sua sponte. He just created the class. He's like, okay, it's a class. You didn't.
And the sad thing is, who's going to be stuck in the middle are going to be pregnant women, as always. While these men and women pass around the case over and back.
Right, but if you've made an adult decision to bear a child, then you're an adult person who should take responsibility for the bearing of the child. You shouldn't punish other people for doing it.
Yeah, that's, by the way, if that adult person's over the age of 18, let's caveat that a small bit. If you're under the age of 18, then it gets a bit more fuzzy. But let's say a person over 18 should have the choice, yes.
Right, because they've achieved their majority. If they make that decision,
yes.
they're adult people. You've made the decision. Now the consequences are X, Y, and Z, whatever they might be.
But the problem is now this ruling is going to have as he said, massive ripple effects all across different states.
Well, right, and the AI thing, right? If we put AI into robot bodies and they become sentient, then now they have a whole set. Yeah.
Well, we're decades away from that, because at the moment, when people say about AI, it's only large language models. It's not really AI. People can.
Right.
I know it's a cool sound name, but there's large language models.
So it's artificial intelligence. It's AI.
Yeah, it's just artificial. It just mimics whatever we program it to mimic.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's good as they say. It's good
is that like when
back.
they were trying to generate pictures on that first iteration from Google of the founding fathers, and there were no white folks in the picture, and they were like, "That's a weird model. How come there's no white folks?" Like that's strange. I thought John Adams was a Caucasian feller.
Yeah. Whoever programmed, I was about to say whoever programmed it, put that in it as a joke, I would say, or
No, I think it was serious. They just had some white guilt thing going on or whatever. All right, here we go.
No, it is. You have to remember, it's only as good as what is fed. If you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Without the appropriate language models, it's not gonna garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, computer-wise, we're at least a decade, if not more, away from true AI. I would say, and that's been very optimistic. Right. Our technology is not quite there yet. It's getting there, but not quite there yet.
All right, let's let Tim close us out here.
This is exactly what they did. There is no greater injury than death. I mean, maybe there is, whatever, I don't know, but come on. If we're talking about rights, and you're like, okay, your property rights are protected, but we can't kill you, or like whatever reason, it's like, well, then your rights aren't protected, are they? If the government can just end you, or a person can just end you, how are your rights being protected?
They're not, duh.
In which case, they may have accidentally opened the door to end abortion. Now, in all seriousness, I think this will just get reversed.
The
question of birthright citizenship becomes interesting.
Yeah.
The judges may then only be able to grant relief to those already injured. That is, children of undocumented parents have to be born, and then the undocumented parents can seek relief. Are these undocumented parents going to want to step forward to stand in court and challenge for the rights of this child? I hope they do. And I hope ICE is waiting outside that courtroom. I'll leave it there. Smash the like button, share the show. Stay tuned. We got more to come for you. Follow me.
There we go.
Yep, same thing for us. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things. And I have Tim in a very contemplative look there, just thinking of a thing. I think I got that pretty solid. I think I got that pretty solid. So anyway, hey guys, everybody, thanks for hanging out with the A&P gents. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. Help us beat the algorithm. For Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson, and we are out.